In the past, whenever I've published something, I've been asked about what my process was like, the creative process. What it was like, how long it took, and how I did it. Writing Pakistan Traveller's third edition was unlike anything else I've attempted in terms of scope and time frame. It was complicated by setbacks along the way, but it was also complicated because it was the first time that I had ever done anything like this completely independently. Big investment and big responsibility too. Thankfully, I had Alex along for the journey, and she seemed to know what she was doing, or at least she gave the impression that she did. The journey of Pakistan Traveller's third edition began in December of 2018. I was at a mutual friend's place in Lahore where I met Alex Reynolds from Lost with Purpose. We had met once or twice before briefly, but on that occasion we actually got to talking about my book. At that stage, Pakistan Traveller was in its second edition, which was released in 2017. Alex told me that she loved the content of Pakistan Traveller, but felt that the design, layout, and aesthetic was really letting it down. She then offered to lend her skills and collaborate on any possible future third edition, to which I happily accepted. In January 2019, I was back in Australia and we had a Skype call, Alex and I, talking about the terms and conditions of our collaboration, and with that decided, we moved forward. I began with a skeleton of the book, which parts would be refreshed from the old edition, which parts would get a complete overhaul, which parts needed to be written fresh, and which parts would be left out and perhaps included in a future edition of the book. Then it was back to Pakistan for me to start researching all of the information that would be required for the third edition of the book, meanwhile promoting the second edition of the book, and on those media appearances, promising a bigger and better third edition in the works. I had planned to publish and release the third edition of Pakistan Traveller in November 2019, just ahead of the winter tourist season in Pakistan. That was where things started to get complicated. Traveling around Pakistan, researching a new book, promoting an old book, constantly producing vlog content, and all the time holding down a full-time job, it left very little extra time for writing. It's the 4th of August 2019, and I'm here in Lahore, and I'm looking at possibly delaying the release date of the book. I had actually planned a series of vlogs to support the book's release, and it looks like I won't actually get all of the vlogs that I had planned completed before I leave Pakistan this year. And unfortunately that means that I might not have enough content to carry me through until I come back to Pakistan next year. In some ways it's also driven by the fact that I'm running a bit behind on my writing with the book, and I guess that's to be expected. That often happens when when you're doing any project. But it's sort of convenient but also a bit frustrating that I have to delay the release of the book, partly for the vlogs, but also, to give myself a bit of extra time. However, it does look though that, perhaps serendipitously, that I am then going to get the opportunity to launch the new book on the 23rd of March, which is, of course, Pakistan Resolution Day. So I guess every cloud has a silver lining. And truth be told, I had seriously underestimated how big and complex the post-writing process would be. And that's something that you'll see a bit later in this vlog too. So, in 2019, I missed my first deadline. I got back to Melbourne and set about working towards a 23rd of March 2020 deadline. So it is now November, and I've been running really behind with everything that I've been wanting to be doing, considering that earlier this week was actually the original date that I had hoped to have this published, and now I'm still working on the first couple of chapters. But I've finally gotten on with it. There's been a lot of other stuff going on, so I've finally gotten on with it. And this, to be honest, is probably one of the toughest parts of writing the book, and that's sort of like matching up the information, and especially when it comes to embassies, because I'm having to get information about, for example, where is the Pakistani embassy in Brazil, which is a country I've never been to. But obviously, readers of my book might need to go there for some reason. So fixing this up, I've got the two computers in front of me. One of them has the book on it. The other one has Google, where I'm looking up to try and find the web pages for these embassies because there's no one definitive list anywhere. And then I am going to then continue this and find where these countries have their embassies in Islamabad and consulates in Karachi or Lahore if they do. So something that really gets me through these days is right here, and that is chocolate. Probably eaten too much of it, but you know, whatever gets you through, I guess. Of course, it's not just like Googling these embassies. I mean, that's not what people are buying the book for and they're paying their good money for. It's also a matter of making sure that the listings for these embassies are actually the real ones, and I guess verifying their addresses, their telephone numbers, that the embassy is still open. There are some embassies that have closed. For example, Australia used to have consulates in Lahore and Karachi, whereas now they've wound that way back to just the one in Islamabad. So there's a lot of work, and it's very particular, very exacting, and this is probably the most frustrating part of writing this. Past few months, I haven't really had a whole lot of time to get a lot of work done. And truth be told, I just haven't really been in like the headspace for it. But it's now March, and funnily enough, the 23rd of March was when I had sort of postponed the release date to, but that obviously hasn't happened because today's the 28th of March. And now we are in a situation of a pandemic. By the time you see this, of course we don't know what the future holds, but it's strange because it's giving me time to work on the book. I'm not going to work regularly, so I'm able to devote a lot of time to the book, but it's strange. You really need to be in the right mental space to be able to write, and I certainly haven't been for the past couple of weeks. But anyway, you know, we're still going to keep going with this and trying our best. I'm going to be having a chat with Alex, who I'm working with on this. I'm going to be chatting with her later on, online, of course. And I just hope that by the time the book gets out there, I hope that Pakistan still has a tourism industry. I hope the world still has a tourism industry, because obviously, you know, despite the horrific deaths and everything which is taking place as part of the pandemic, there are going to be more people who will live through this, and it'll be very interesting to see how the world recovers from this. But for now, I've just got to really push myself to keep writing and hopefully get this book out this year, even if I'm not able to get to Pakistan this year. Interestingly, something else that I thought that I would mention is that in my previous the first two editions of the book, I had actually hand-drawn my own maps for the book, and I'm sure you can just imagine how sort of time-consuming and painstaking that was. But thankfully, I have found a lifeline in the form of Alex, who has very generously offered to work on the maps for the new edition, and that means that all I need to do is really just sort of find these places and create maps in Google, which is, I mean, it's a godsend, to be honest. It's Ramadan, and I'm here in Melbourne, and I have been managing actually to get through a lot of the book in the past couple of weeks. Basically, what's been happening is that because of Ramadan, I've been sleeping a lot of the day, teaching through the day. Thankfully, the job's still going, so it's been lockdown plus Ramadan. So I'm sleeping a lot of the day and then teaching when I have to, and then at night time, I just had all of these sort of free hours to work on the book, and I have done so much on it. So it looks like we might be able to get it out this year after all. I've just discovered that there is another guidebook company that has put a book about Pakistan out in the past couple of months, which I can't say that I'm surprised. I mean, it was probably only a matter of time, and I had sort of prepared myself for this. Someone had given me a tip off a couple of almost a year ago, actually. I have sort of tried to get the idea that into my mind that it's a good thing because I mean, obviously any tourism towards Pakistan, more interest to Pakistan is a good thing, but I also, I guess, look at it that, I guess more competition in the market will hopefully bring more, more travelers and more readers this way. So even if they are split between my book and the other one that's out there. So anyway, I know that I also, with my book, that I have other advantages, that there are certain advantages in my book that sort of like the level of detail and the on-the-ground experience is, as far as I know, in the other book, it's unmatched. So I'm hoping that that will be sort of like my USP. Now I have some very exciting news to share with you because I've just received a message from Alex. I've just received a file in my email address, which is basically the first look at Pakistan Traveller, or this new edition of Pakistan Traveller. And I can't give much away, but suffice to say, it is absolutely beautiful. I can give you a sneak peek, and that is all that I'm allowed to show you for now, but there is so much more in store. This is a really exciting time. I'm working outside here today, and it's a beautiful spring day. It's now early October, and I'm just sort of getting to the end of the book actually, which is a nice feeling. But the thing which has sort of I won't say troubled, but it's been on my mind for the past couple of weeks, has been how to divide up the last couple of chapters. Originally, I only had one small chapter about Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and then I had two chapters, which was one about Abbottabad and one about Chitral. But now I'm actually expanding my coverage out and sort of how to divide up the areas. In what I've gone with for Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is that I'm going to have a Peshawar and lowlands section, then a mountains and valleys section, which will also include Chitral, and then an eastern KPK section, which will include Abbottabad and the Kagan Valley. And then for Gilgit-Baltistan, I've actually been in touch with Alex about this because she knows the area really well, and we've decided that we're going to go with sort of a western chapter about Gizr Valley, a central chapter along the Karakoram Highway, and then an eastern chapter. I mean, it sort of has to be logical, but then it also has to be useful for travellers as well. So, mountains and valleys of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, putting Swat together with Chitral was a difficult choice because culturally they're quite different. But then Chitral on its own didn't really make sense as a chapter just on its own. Perhaps in future editions. Let's see. So it is the 26th of October, and here in Melbourne, we've just been told that the lockdown for the coronavirus pandemic is going to end as of tomorrow night, and I am sort of, I guess, like on the final stretch of working on the book at the moment. As you can see, it's been a very long time in lockdown. But I am currently working on the Gilgit-Baltistan chapters. There are 3 of them, and sometimes when you're writing you need to get out of where you normally are, and I just found that I just wasn't doing enough work at home, so instead I've come here to a friend's place in St Kilda, and lots of coffee and sitting out here on the veranda to try and get this book finished hopefully by mid-November, and then see where we can take it from there. And then I can enjoy the summer by actually going outside and doing things, which we haven't been able to do for the past 6 months, I guess. So today is a very, very exciting day. It is the 7th of January 2021. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way. But it is the 7th of January 2021 and I have just completed the book. I'm just getting ready to send off the information now to Alex, and here is a day that I never thought would come, but here it is. Now from here, I guess the next steps are to continue liaising with Alex about the design of the book and so on. I know that she's doing a great job because I've been in touch with her, and to work on the credits, and I will include a short section about Azad Jammu Kashmir and Balochistan as well, but the bulk of the book and certainly the research is all complete, and now we begin the final step of getting this thing published. Of course, I was super excited to have the book ready to go, or at least I thought. Little did I realize that actually this was just the beginning of the hard work. Hey, so it is April 2021 and I am at home in Lahore, and it's good to be back. I've been back for a couple of weeks already, and basically during Ramzan and the evenings during Ramadan, I am keeping myself busy by proofreading the book. So this is a process that has actually happened it's been much quicker than I thought it would be actually. But I've just come across one section in the Multan and Southern Punjab chapter where I might need to do a bit of a rewrite. So I mean, it's just the frustration of proofreading, I guess. And now we send those proof chapters off to Alex and just pray that she doesn't hate me too much for making changes this late in the process. Behind the scenes, I'm just like, yes, I know that my laptop screen needs cleaning, and Alex, I'm so sorry. I'm here now in my classroom at the institute that I'm running, and we've sort of hit the next step, I guess, in publishing the book, which is to get it published and to actually take it to the publishers. So I have been having a chat with Alex. We've decided on the cover, and the internal content and everything are all refined and ready. And then the next step is I'm just about to start contacting some publishers and figure out how much it would cost to get it printed here in Pakistan. The other thing is also to kind of work out how we would distribute it. Like, I mean, are we going to send it out from Pakistan, on which services? I mean, on Amazon, through a private website, through another service. Maybe I should have a stock of these books, like a stack of them in another country, maybe in London or in Melbourne or something like this, and then they can be distributed by someone else to different regions to kind of speed things up a bit. So let's see, but it's definitely, it's an interesting process, and it's probably unfortunately one of the most boring parts of getting this process done. Assalamu alaikum. मेरा नाम Tim Blight है, और we have been in discussions, Alex and I have been in discussions with a couple of publishers in Pakistan. However, one of them, which was probably our preferred one, unfortunately got back to us with a really, really high quote. Not 100% sure if that's just what we're being quoted, because obviously it appears like we're coming from outside of Pakistan to ship to outside of Pakistan. But anyway, that we tried to negotiate and that didn't work out. So we are now looking at other publishers, and particularly in China. So let's see what this turns up. Fingers crossed. We are still in the process, a couple of weeks later, of searching for a printer. We found a really cheap one in Belgium, a couple of okay ones in the UK, and we were going to get in touch with some Chinese ones, but we, in the end, actually got told through a contact of Alex's about a cheap printer here in Pakistan. So we're sort of working that contact at the moment to try and find out how much that would cost. But it seems to be a good deal, especially because we would be able to get the books directly to me here in Pakistan, whereas obviously if we're publishing in Belgium or China, then there would be, even if it's cheaper, there would be an added cost of having to get them from the printing location to wherever I or Alex are. And then finally, the other thing was I was thinking about perhaps creating an app for it, so that there wouldn't be an internet version. It would be on an app that people could download, but then that's quite expensive, and there are ongoing costs with that as well, because every time there's a new operating system for Android or for for Apple iOS or whatever, then you need to get like a programmer or someone in to adjust the app for the new programs or for the new operating system. So okay, so we've been dealing with this local publisher here in Lahore, and we've been making really good progress. It looks like they might be able to do what we want to get done. What we're dealing with now and sort of the progress that we've made, we're talking now about paper sizes, paper weights, the thickness of the cover and this kind of thing. Today, my friend Hamza went to the publisher to get a sample of the book. Now, the book is 472 pages, and this is what it would look like if it were to be on 90-gram paper, I believe. And 90-gram paper is sort of one of the thinner ones. Not the thinnest, but certainly not the thickest. My concern with this is just that it's heavy, and on top of that, because of the weight of the paper and how sort of big it is and so on, it would probably need a hardcover, which is not really what I had in mind. But now we're also facing the thing that if we get paper which is any thinner, then the printing on it, especially because it's in full color, the printing on it might start to bleed through onto the next page and be visible from behind the paper. Our next stop was in Urdu Bazaar. Urdu Bazaar, obviously named after Pakistan's national language, is the place in Lahore where all of the city's big publishers, or most of the city's big publishers at least, traditionally have their outlets and their shop fronts. So we decided to hit the streets and take a walk around and see if we could turn up something from Urdu Bazaar. So today I have just gotten the book back, which the one which we submitted to Urdu Bazaar about a week ago. We got the sample back, but coincidentally, on the same day that we got the sample back, look who I found in Lahore.
Oh, hello. Greetings. Hey.
We have two samples here. Mm-hmm. Alex is here.
Two samples.
And Alex.
Mm-hmm.
You're having a great time in Lahore. What are you doing over here at the moment?
I'm just lurking, existing, guiding some sheep through Lahore, etc.
Sheep, eh?
Sheep.
And also taking a look at the quality of the book.
And also examining the quality of the book, which I will admit right now is pretty, I won't swear, but not so nice.
Although I have to say that what we have done with this book, and what I think we're both really happy with, is get something much more manageable than the previous version.
Slightly better than encyclopedic size.
Exactly, yes. And the pages are much more
flippable.
Flippable, yeah. Fondable. I like that. And we've got one which is sort of semi-shiny. I don't know if you can, you can see the shine there, and one which
this
is
one
matte.
Is matte.
I think we like the matte one better.
Matte is far superior, better for scribbling on also.
But the problem is that the printing quality is not so great. Yeah.
In case you can't tell, this map is completely illegible.
I think that we're on the right track in terms of sort of like the size of the book and the binding and that kind of thing.
If you hit someone with this, it would not kill them, it would just be uncomfortable, versus the other one could be potentially fatal.
Maybe we will go with the other one then. And the book doubles as a weapon. We hope that we are on the home stretch with getting this done. Hopefully by the end of the year, fingers crossed. Inshallah, exactly. Of course, I needed a place through which to sell my book, and Amazon.com was always an option. However, I also needed to overhaul my own website, Urban Dunya, and that was when I enlisted the help of my friend and web developer extraordinaire, Hassan Amjad. And just in case anyone was wondering how I would keep myself busy before the website is ready and designed, I have just come up with a short brief for my designer. It's not really that short actually, I guess. It's how many? 3 pages long. It has all the details of what I'm planning to get done on the website by the designer. And then from here, I'm then going to have to write all the extra content, which will then go onto the website. So, I finished writing a book and now I'm going to start writing a website. It never ends. By the end of 2021, I had travelled to London in the UK, and I felt that was a really good staging post for what I wanted to do next, which was basically oversee the production of the book. We had decided on this printer in Belgium, and being on a similar time zone as Belgium, and as well as that, if I needed to get to Belgium to oversee any of the printing process, then it would be easy to do that from London. So I decided to sort of take advantage of being over there at that time. And as well as that, sort of a bit of a holiday away from my work in Lahore, it gave me the time and the, I guess the headspace, if you like, that I needed to finally get this thing off the ground. And that was exactly what happened. So now I am looking online to, excuse me, to find out how much sort of the competition costs, so that I know how much to set the cost of the book at. But it's not just the cost of the book, but it's also sort of like how much the profit margin will be, plus also how much it will cost to ship to different places around the world too. Alex has very kindly just gone through and edited some information about the Khyber Pass in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, because obviously the book was finished a certain amount of time ago, and now we need to, the information on the ground has changed since then. That's inevitable with any book, especially like a reference guide. But there's been a bit of a lead time on this, for one. But then the other thing is also that, I mean, I guess, hotel prices change. That's always there. But this thing in particular is quite a big draw card for many people to visit the Khyber Pass. So we need to make sure that that is up to date before it goes to the printers. So she has sent me a rewrite about that, regarding including the information that she knows about that as it stands currently. The other thing that I have to do, and it's crazy that I hadn't even thought of this earlier, but I didn't, is like when I got to the end of the book and now I need to write a blurb to go on the back cover of the book. And that's not just for the back cover of the book, but obviously because I'll be selling the book online as well, it's also going to provide content for the website, for the e-shop, that people will read that before they hopefully buy the book online as well. I mean, the thing with the blurb is that it needs to be concise but attractive, and I don't know, it's just, anyway, that's my challenge, for another one of my challenges for this weekend. We also needed to apply for an ISBN, which is an international barcode number for the book, which will identify it in any marketplace around the world. It is now 3 o'clock in the morning on the 27th of January 2022, about 3 years and 2 weeks since I started first working on this, but I think everything is now ready to print. I have sent off the file to Alex. I've ticked it off. She's going to be looking at a few more things, but apart from that, I think we are just about done, and inshallah, hopefully, in the morning, we will be ready to go ahead with printing. I can't believe it's finally gotten to this point. It's sort of exciting, relieving, and nerve-wracking at the same time. In the past week, since I sat on the bed early that morning, late that night, and was like, oh, everything's finished and all that, I've had a couple of other things to take care of. So another thing was basically looking at the shipping costs around the world. So I'm getting the books out to the distribution hubs, how much that's going to cost. Will the printers be shipping them through their own services? Is this something which we should take care of? I've been looking at UPS. How many books to get out to each place? So obviously calculating demand. Also the pricing of the digital book as well. So yeah, there's been a lot of that going on. And there were some last minute things with the book regarding like the paper quality, the weight of the book, because obviously the weight of the final product and the size of the final product will dictate the the shipping costs around the world, not just for individual customers, but also for me to get the book from Belgium in bulk to London, Lahore, New York, Sydney, wherever that's going to be. As you can see, I'm really tired at this stage. It's only 11. It's like 11:30 in the morning. So I mean, it's not early or anything, but I've been up and working on this for a while. Alex has been up since even earlier. She's actually been at the printers in Belgium since 7 o'clock this morning. That was 6 o'clock my time. So yeah, it's a bit of an early morning for the both of us. But the book, the initial copies that are coming through look really, really good. The only thing is that the book is probably a little bit bigger than I had hoped, but it's still not as big as that thing which looked like an encyclopedia, which I got from a printer in Pakistan back in September, October last year. So we seem to be on the right track with this, but maybe something to look into more next time, I hope. Because of Brexit, we've also had to look at possibly getting a distribution hub somewhere in Europe, and that was kind of a last minute thing that, I mean, I guess we always knew that was going to be the case with Brexit, but I guess we hadn't really spent enough time thinking about how much extra and how much tax would apply to each book, the customer. So basically what's happening with Brexit is that if a book is sold from the UK, but then a European customer buys it, then they will pay the cost of the shipping and the book, of course, but then they, it seems, will have to pay extra tax on delivery. And, obviously that's something that we would like to avoid for the customers, but then we also worry about if that will if that will dent our sales, because if that's something which has to be done for each customer, will they think twice about buying our book over perhaps another book out there, which they might not need to pay tax. So we're looking at maybe having a distribution hub somewhere in Germany, but then that's obviously something to set up at the last minute. It is the morning of the 4th of February 2022, and the good news is that the book is being printed. I'm here in London in the United Kingdom, and Alex currently over in Belgium, just outside of Brussels, where she is at the printers and working on the finishing touches on the book, which is currently on its print run. So that's really, really exciting. Meanwhile, I've been in touch with Alex this morning, and I am just about to have a meeting with my web developer to set up the e-commerce platform for basically obviously selling the books. Okay, it is another early morning here, so sorry that I'm always looking like trash whenever I'm on these things, but I am currently in the process of unpublishing the previous edition of the book and updating links and everything on the website so that we can go ahead with a bit of a soft launch in the next week or so, possibly even in the next 2 days. So it's all happening, very exciting.
How's it supposed to feel?
So it is now the first week of March here in Pakistan. I'm back here in Lahore, and it looks like things are finally happening. So we're getting the shipments done out of Belgium to London and to Munich. We've dropped the idea of different distribution hubs around the world. It was just going to cost a bit too much money to actually get the books out to those different places. So in the end, we went with Munich and London, which meant also that I had to sort of weigh up, would it be worth then getting it, say, like if a book had to be delivered to Asia, to a country in Asia, or to Australia, for example, I had to recalculate everything, how much that would cost from Munich or London, as opposed to Melbourne, which was the original plan. So I've just gone through a whole bunch of figures in my head and everything, but I think we're finally ready to go. I had a meeting with the web developer just the other day, and it looks like the website is ready to go. Just a few more things to go in there. Obviously, the pricing and everything had to be adjusted tonight, so I've been in touch with him. But it looks like we're sort of on the final stretch here. Hopefully, the last couple of weeks before the paperback can go on sale. Fingers crossed.
Hi guys, my name is Karini and I would like to share with you something very, very cool that I just got. Wow! I'm so proud of you, team. Congrats! All about Pakistan, the world's most comprehensive travel guide for Pakistan.
And it was around this time that Alex and I decided on a launch date of 10th of April 2022. We've got 11 days left until the launch, and I'm just putting together a bit of a press publicity pack, so that can all be sent out to the people who will hopefully recommend our book to other people, and hopefully also maybe get a bit of media attention about this. So it's getting exciting. And one of the last tasks to do was to order the appropriate envelopes for the distribution hubs in Munich and London. I have just arrived back from the walled city of Lahore, where I was doing a promo video shoot, photo shoot and everything up there at the Lahore Fort and at Badshahi Mosque. And of course, for that shoot, I needed something, a prop, you could say. And look what turned up on my doorstep yesterday. I am so excited to finally have this copy in my hand. I almost can't believe it's real, to be honest. This is, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of the most exciting days of my life. I'm so happy. I can't even, I feel like I can't wipe the happiness off my face. It's just, it's like a dream come true. It's finally happened. We have a copy of the book. I took some beautiful, beautiful shots up in the city with it. And tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to launch the 3rd edition of Pakistan Traveller. And I can't wait. It is 7:30 p.m. on the 10th of April 2022. It is launch night, and in 2.5 hours, the book is going to be out there for the public and ready to go. And secretly, it already is kind of out there, because not just the PDF that's been available since February, but actually the website has already gone live. So that means that if anyone wants to buy the book, it's already available for you. In 2.5 hours time, we are going to be live on Instagram with Alex Reynolds, Maria Sumru and Shahab of Shahabnama, and we're going to be discussing the book and doing an official launch, and I really can't wait. I'm so excited. It's 9:30 p.m. We're about 30 minutes away from the live stream, and I have just gotten an email to say that the first copy of the paperback version of Pakistan Traveller has just been sold. And I can't tell you how amazing that feels at this point. 30 minutes to go. We are just about to go live. It's time for the launch. It has been 3 years and 4 months in the making, and we are finally about to do it. Here we go, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum everybody, and welcome to the official launch of Pakistan Traveller 3rd edition 2022.
They're all worried about whether or not they'll be safe in the country, and then by the time they leave, they're
right.
That's
yeah,
right.
so for me, I covered Sindh part, Karachi, and
mixed kind of response from the people. I'll be very realistic about it.
Bye,
thank
girl.
you everyone. Bye.